Clements, Mark Twain began to adore the Jubilee Singers and sing their music. Ulysses S. Grant in the White House, he should have given more support to what was going on down south because he cared and he began to hum the music of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. In New York, Carnegie Hall. Can you imagine young former slaves performing in Carnegie Hall? That set the stage for a wonderful European tour.
And let's talk about, Professor Kwame, that European tour over the few minutes that we have here.
Yeah, he just mentioned Carnegie Hall, and I will mention the Queen of England.
Good, okay.
Because these young students in 1873 were taken, 11 of them actually were taken to Europe, and this is history. They sang in England, and the Queen was invited to hear them. And she was so impressed that she invited them back to her court. And as a result of that, the beautiful singing that she heard, she asked her court painter to make a painting of these 11 students. That was given to Fisk University, which we still have in Jubilee Hall. The other thing we need to remember is that these Jubilee singers were the first to introduce the Negro spirituals to the whole world. The other thing was that on their return from the European tour, they brought back $150,000, money that was used in putting up the building we have on campus today, known as Jubilee Hall, and that's where the portrait hangs. That is very rich history.
That's right. The school would have closed if it had not been.
So they, in reality, they actually saved the school. They literally saved the school.
And additionally, the 40-acre site which Fisk sits on was purchased by funds raised by young people, young students.
Now, is the fact that that was, as an historian, that it was 40 acres of land, is that significant in terms of the history of Fisk or the history of the African American?
Well, I think it's significant in the fact that the 40 acres of land that purchased had been a former Union Army contraband camp where slaves had been kept as prizes of war. Now, the slave would be educated. Originally, the school operated downtown near the Union Station in 40 little barracks. One of those is today the little theater. But these young people purchased that site. It's the high spot in North Nashville, the same site we're located on now. It's the highest spot in North Nashville. And we think that's very significant, that higher education would take place at one of the highest points in town.
And so the campus actually moved from its present location, from its earlier location to the present location. So it was not founded in the spot that it is on now. Is that what
it was actually founded in the spot near the Union Station downtown, where the Union Army had a hospital barracks, a low-lying area that would flood. If you notice now, it's on a very high area. And Jubilee Hall, named for the singers, is often referred to as frozen music because of its architecture and its splendor.
You know, Professor Kwame, when you talk about that European tour, give us some more impressions of how the Europeans reacted to this group of African Americans.
It was just as the experiences they had in the north here. There were people who did not believe that colored people, as they were called then, could sing, you know, in a disciplined way. That was one impression. There were comments that people made saying they walked so quietly to their seats, took their places. That was discipline. But again, the type of music they sang was very different and so very appealing to them, to the point that at places where they were to sing, there were people who were in very much doubt. But as the news began to spread that the music was wonderful, they began to draw larger audiences.
You know, Dr. Mitchell, I think you've indicated that this is the anniversary, the 125th anniversary of the Jubilee Singers. What kind of plans are being made to celebrate this anniversary?
Well, over the year, there have been reunions of Jubilee Singers, art exhibits. Professor Kwame has directed a wonderful concert, a reunion concert on May 4th.
That's correct.
That's taking place in Nashville, a wonderful gala. So the university and the world, but I think particularly, again, it's the Jubilee Singers, because former Jubilee Singers like Professor Kwame have gathered, and they continue. And the Jubilee singing tradition, I think, is safe and well at Fisk University.
Very good. And Professor Kwame, what can you say about some of the members of your present Jubilee singing group?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because they are the group in place as we celebrate the 125th anniversary. And I would say that history was recently repeated, because we were in New York in the first week of March and had to donate $1,000, which we were going to receive from a church, back to families of children who had been killed in an accident that very morning. I still have very dedicated students who understand what it means to be Jubilee singers. They understand what it means to be ambassadors for Fisk University. they understand what it means to represent the African American where music and culture is concerned.
And I guess in a real sense, Dr. Mitchell, you might say that the generosity and the benevolence of this present Jubilee singing group in terms of donating the money in New York was similar to the benevolence and the generosity of the earlier group that went to Chicago and donated its money for the Chicago fire.
Very much so. And for 125 years, Jubilee singers did not receive scholarships. These are students who pay their way and make their contribution.
And of course, what we have during the second segment, I mean the final segment of this show, as the two of you know, which will come up over the next minute and a half, will be a final segment dealing with the Jubilee singers themselves and other things that are generally associated with it. And I think it will give our audience not only an opportunity to hear the story of the Jubilee singers as told in an excellent fashion and form by you as an historian and by Professor Kwame as the director, but they'll also have an opportunity to hear some of the singing. Let me
take this opportunity to invite our audience and all of Nashville. At the first opportunity, you have the opportunity to hear the Fisk Jubilee singers. Please avail yourself of it.
And of course, they do sing quite often around here, do they not?
Yes, in fact, they'll be singing at the Ryman Auditorium on May 4th.
On the 4th of May at the Ryman Auditorium.
Yes.
Very good.
And every October 6th, come to Fisk and see this year's edition of the Jubilee.
And let me thank the two of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information this morning. And as we said before, we'll be back with our audience during the final segment with the